On this episode, we're heading to New Jersey. Grab some cigarettes at the diner, but watch out for red lights as we break down the brief career of Ska-Punk band Too Short Notice on Checkered Past, the Ska'd cast.
Oh, hey, oh, what the fuck you doing with your life these days? Oh, hey, oh, what the fuck you doing with yourself? Oh, hey, oh, what the fuck you doing with your life these days? Oh, hey, oh, what the fuck you doing with yourself?
What up, Checkerheads? Welcome to Checkered Past, the Ska'd cast with Celine and Rob. The show where a New Jersey turn skank and Bruce Manifestine and the Streetlight Band explore the history and impact of a different band each episode. Hope to bring in new fans along the way. I'm Rob, and this is my co-host, Joey.
I'm here. That was I do not like Bruce Springsteen, but I like your mishmash of his band's name.
Bruce Manifestine and the Streetlight Band.
Yeah,
I did a victory lap around my kitchen when I wrote that.
that was a good one. I'm not even a big fan of Streetlight Manifesto, even, but I like that one a lot.
And you're here in place
I'm
of
here.
Celine.
I am, because she just flew in from Montreal. Boy, are her arms tired. We made this joke already. But
That's my joke.
I know she's like floating between consciousness and unconsciousness on the couch because she stayed up all night. They went to a goth club before they had a flight at 6 a.m., I guess. So yeah, that's her. She's doing that. I'm sure she'll come back and do a Celine next week.
Yeah, she said she has stories.
Yeah.
That usually means there's a story. A long one, too.
A lot of stories, yeah.
And engineer Joey, you are here in place. Usually I tell you to get off the mic, but now I tell you to get on the mic.
I'm on the mic.
And so now you have to bring it.
I'm bringing it. Look at me bring it.
So why don't we pick it up where we left off?
Yeah, here we go.
Pick it up, where we left off. Pick it up, where we left off.
What's up, Joey? Got a story?
Not really. It was my birthday this week, though.
Yeah.
And Celine was out of town, so I just hung out with the dogs.
Happy birthday, Joey.
Thank you.
28.
Yeah, 28. Perfect. Yes.
What was it like to grow up in the 90s?
I guess I had to put up with Dickie Bear and the anti-vaxxers, so it was fine.
Making callbacks to things that were happening off mic.
Yeah, and also like deep Ska Twitter joke. Fucking cut. That was a dumb joke. I'm sorry.
We can talk about that. That's a thing that's happening.
Oh yeah, all these
that's a
Ska
timestamp.
parody accounts. Holy smokes. Ska parody accounts.
They're
all over the place.
I feel like their time is already over.
Oh yeah, like, it was a flash in the pan. The pan flashed.
Yeah. Most of the feed right now is make it stop.
Yeah.
You know what I'm happy for, though? Grateful for? It's Thanksgiving? No, Black Friday. Something like that happened.
Yeah.
Happy that Twitter's not gone. I mean, I'm happy it's there and that evil billionaires haven't shut it down forever, but I hope there's a union or something at the end of this. Speaking of Black Friday, I went shopping at West Edmonton Mall.
Good for you.
So
here's good for you.
Yeah, this is what people need to know about West Edmonton Mall. It's a big mall, and everybody knows that part about it. It's like Mall of America. It sucks.
It's bigger though, isn't it?
No, Mall of America bigger.
Oh, fuck! We don't have the biggest mall anymore.
No,
garbage.
We got the second biggest mall, and it's a piece of shit. It's so fucking busy all the time. Like every nightmare about malls, and every imagine anything that you can think about a mall, like Wetzel's Pretzels. There's like 3 of them there. There's definitely a Spencer's Gifts. But then imagine 5 times as many people as you'd normally see because it's Black Friday. So if you walk by a Spencer's Gifts, there's like 50% off fake poop or something, or whatever they sell there. Pickle Rick shit. That seems to be everything I see around
Rick.
there.
Yeah.
But no, thank you. West Edmonton Mall sucks. If you come to Edmonton, avoid it.
Did you play a game of hockey?
No, there was curling.
Did you go on the pirate ship?
I noticed you skipped over where I said there was a curling tournament.
Did you see the seals?
No, I saw the curling.
Did you go
Very
on
exciting.
a roller coaster?
I did not. I saw
You
some
didn't
curling.
do any of the fun stuff at that big mall.
I didn't go to the water park. I didn't do
the mini putt?
I didn't. You know what? I thought about it. I'm not joking. I almost soloed the mini putt. I get very excited. There's a steampunk mini golf game.
Yep. Dr. Wem or Professor Wem or
Professor
something?
Wem.
I don't know.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
it's
That's
not
disgusting. I hate it.
Yeah.
All right, I'm upset.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. I think that's good enough.
Yeah. So moral of the story is big malls suck. Capitalism sucks.
Yeah, late stage capitalism, and it's late stage capitalism from the 90s. That's what's funny about
80s
it.
and 90s.
And 80s and 90s. It's a 30-year-old mall, and it is the worst thing I've ever seen. Okay, here we go. We are absolutely thrilled to introduce our guests. They are the drummer and guitarist for San Francisco ska band Sad Snack, whose new single, Kenny G Hotline, streaming everywhere right now. Josh and Ilan are here. Hello, friends.
Hello.
Hi. Oh shoot, that's Ike's thing.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. Hello.
There you
Hello.
Greetings.
You can take that. Nobody's taken hello yet.
Felicitations.
Good day.
Good
can
day.
also- Felicitations.
Bonjour. Huh? Because of
Ike, we're
French?
sorry. Don't sue.
Ciao. Don't they say there's chow for both of them? In
Yeah.
Italian?
Shalom Aleichem.
Oh yeah, we're both Jewish.
I like it. Nobody's using that right now.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's just, streamline this.
So let's start at the top. We got one big question for you, the one that everybody's been waiting for. Tell us your ska origin story, your checkered past, if you will.
Josh, you want to go first?
I can go first. So I used to listen to a lot of smooth jazz.
Classic.
I'm sorry.
Where everybody started.
Sorry. That's fucking ballsy.
Yeah. And then the movie Good Burger came out. And
Hell
I heard
yeah.
a song on the Good Burger soundtrack that is by the band Less Than Jake. And it's about how we're all dudes. And in my
Good
youth,
one.
that, hit real close to home. I was like, yes, we're all dudes. And also, this music's a lot faster than smooth jazz and a lot more fun. And then a few more years went by, and I didn't know that there was a whole genre about that style of music. But my best friend, Nick Stauffer, Nick's Monaco, Nicky Sparkles, if you will.
Roller derby.
Yeah. I would go over to his house and I'd sleep over. Our families were cool. I would crash there sometimes during the week. And Nick did this thing where he would play music all night. And the options were Korn or the Mighty Mighty Boston.
Mhm.
So I picked the
Ooh,
Mighty Mighty
devil's
Boston
choice.
because like, this reminds me of We're All Dudes. And it
Smooth
turns
jazz.
out
Oh, okay.
that there was a whole like genre of catchy pop punk horn driven calypso laden hooky bands out there that I could like dig into. And Nick and a few of our other like hometown friends from elementary through high school did a lot to introduce me to both like the music as a genre, third wave, all the way back to the Jamaican stuff, and also instill a lot of the DIY values. And we had a lot of house shows. I grew up outside of Philadelphia, so we were very close to the Tri-State punk scene, which we'll dig into in a minute. And I loved it. I was a saxophone player too, so I realized I was like, oh shoot, I play saxophone and I could be in like a ripping punk Ska-Punk band. So I had a bunch of like false start ska bands in high school, middle school and high school, but like it was cool to engage with music in this like new way that was distinctly way more energetic and like focused and powerful than smooth jazz.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
The smooth jazz piece is really getting to me. Like I've
Yeah,
heard
Yeah.
so much about people's like,
the
oh,
Weather
my
Channel.
dad,
Tony Hawk.
Tony Hawk,
Tony
and
Hawk.
my dad had English beat records so far were like the two things. But this reminds me of smooth jazz, but it's much faster.
Yeah.
It's the
I had
best
this
thing I've heard all day.
CD.
That's so right.
I had a CD called Jazz Loon, and it was smooth jazz, like Kenny G style saxophone music, but with loon noises in the background.
What's that?
And I'm pretty sure I bought it in Canada.
Did someone bring that from Canada for you?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds so Canadian.
Yeah, we used to go up to Canada for vacation, so I'm pretty sure I must have got it there because that's the only explanation for any human owning that is that they went to Canada and found it.
Do you remember what year you attained that in?
It had to be like 92.
Right.
Oh, dang, man. If you would have made it to 93, that was the year they put out the Moose remix one.
Oh man. Oh,
And it was
Oh,
fire.
I gotta go back.
Straight fire.
tastes like maple syrup, baby.
Yeah.
Elon, how about yourself?
I was in a lot of schools for troubled kids as a kid, and like I listened to a lot of Blink-182 and a lot of things that were like on the radio and burgeoning at the time. And I remember my friend Max, who owns Pizza Bagel Records in New Jersey at right now, I think we were in a weird school together, and his brother was on one of like the local record labels, like, and it was cool to see. And it was like I was living in New Jersey, and like emo and drive-through records were kind of coming up, and so there was this like perfect overlap where like this guy showed up at this school with like a Pennywise, and the first Offspring album was like, you listen to Blink-182, you listen to Sum 41, you got potential. And like, so I got these Ska-Punk albums, and as it went, like everybody kind of in Jersey went off in one of two directions. You either kind of followed through with playing ska music and followed that down whatever rabbit hole, or like you followed through playing emo music and you couldn't have gotten less money to be more successful at that point in time locally. Like a lot of people, it was like the big genre, and so like ska shows were packed because a lot of people, it was like, I think in freshman year of high school, basically after like a middle school of like being in a lot of like weird troubled kids schools and listening to like ska music as like the only person with like Losing Streak was a big one by Less Than Jake. I got that off like Amazon. Like I was like, just me being like, I want this, I'm gonna order this off the internet, like with like like whatever built up allowance over time, and it all felt pretty isolated, but it was like really cool fucking music. Like Losing Streak, So Long, Thanks for All the Shoes by NoFX, the ska songs on that one, and then like Keys Be Nights by Catch-22. I got that and was like, oh fuck, this is I don't know.
Pretty formative media.
Yeah, because like, I got Mustard Plug and all the other stuff, and it was like Catch-22 was the first band that was like, hey, you can have feelings. You know what I mean? You can have other feelings besides angry, drunk, happy, and like a spectrum of like, I fucking love the shit out of ska music. Let's be fair. Like there's a lot of third wave stuff. It's like angry, drunk, happy, or breakup song. You know what I mean? And, like it's just that. And so like it was dope and a half to get into high school and to meet a bunch of people who wanted to go to shows. And we went to Warped Tour in 2003 or 4 and saw the Arrogant Sons of Bitches on one of their like maybe first or second Warped Tours, or I don't know exactly at what point that was, but we started following them through Long Island and realized that they were playing in Northern Jersey a lot. And to get to the band we're playing in a minute, we started following them that way, and we went to Bloomfield Ave Cafe a bunch, which everybody at fucking Bad Time was like geeking out about it. They're like, oh yeah, you were in Jersey for that shit? Like it was a beautiful, like I got shut down for health reasons because the bathroom was next to the stage and you could stage dive while using the toilet, but like that's just not okay. And
it's like a wonder bar.
It was amazing. But we saw like the Arrogant Sons of Bitches in Long Island with our mutual friend Avi that runs Silver Sprocket, was booking a band called Beret at the time, who are a fake French hardcore band. They just play Ferrer Chaka and punch people. And they I wouldn't say they released any albums of note, but they were like the mystery surprise Warped Tour guest that like kept a lot of people showed up because they're like, oh my god, it's gonna be that one show where Arrogant Sons of Bitches play with Dashboard Confessional or like one of these bands, and nope, it was not. It was some band that just punched everybody and nobody was stoked, and you realize you'd already seen all the good bands. But ska is an interesting one. Like when there's a scene for it, like there is now, when people are on the same page about how much they like it or know what it is, like it's fucking rad. But
we had RJ on the show. He mentioned that he thinks that ska always goes in these like 10 to 15 year cycles between like traditional to more like I guess you can say fusion or like different sounding stuff, then back to traditional. Like it just keeps rotating through the years. and he had the opinion that we're going to go back there in the next 5 to 10 years. So yeah,
I
don't
would trust his viewpoint on that. He's kind of had a bird's eye view on it for a while.
know. So then I guess if we were going through time a little bit, where did the band Sad Snack come into play?
Ooh, that's a fun. Do you mind if I go?
Go for it, yeah.
So Josh and I, years ago, we met because I was wearing an old Arrogant Sons of Bitches merch shirt while cooking a sandwich in a place where we were both working in San Francisco, and I happened to be serving them, and we shot the shit about it, and it was just like, who would ever recognize this shirt? And they mentioned that they played horns and blah blah blah, and so we played in a couple of projects. After a long enough time, I just like showed up in their place of work and was like, "We're playing music."
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, you want to?
Oh well, I think like I deliberately was like, "Hey, nice shirt. Do you want to start a ska band or something along those lines?"
I think I was like, no, I've been down. It was like some like old like Ronin Samurai dumbass movie shirt. I was like, no, I've been down that road before. I'm okay. But and like I show back up with my dumbass like folky 2-guitar like folk punk band, like we should start a band. You can't see what I'm faking like I'm doing dubs in a movie, like push the door open like ding ding, like there's dead silence. It's like we should start a band. Is it a ska band? No, it is not.
Okay.
Yeah,
sure.
And so we played in a bunch of dumb bands for a while, and then we wrote a bunch of like melodic hardcore songs with like ska breaks. And we're like, what are we gonna do with this? And we realized the only thing that we were very passionate about was we both were depression watching Cheers at one point in time in 2013. And so we started a Cheers themed rock opera. The concept
album was how I always described it.
Yeah, that's a solid way to say it. Called Normcore. And
yes.
it had a bunch of it's on Bandcamp. It's like xxnormcoreXX.bandcamp.
I think it's just xnormcorex.bandcamp.com.
That's it. We can send links to anybody. Go hassle Sad Snack. We want to share this with you. It's got dumb parody ska breaks of Leftover Crack, but it's about different service or basically through the lens of food service, looking at Cheers as a way to process depression. And it has different songs like Woody Killed Coach. It's got a song about Frasier cursing everybody out and being like, fuck you, I'm moving to Seattle. It's got like, a big, like, and we thought that would be really cool to do. And, it was a bunch of fun. But let me, like, can we do this? Can we tell a story? Are we telling a story?
Sure.
Okay.
I don't know where you're going with it, but yeah.
I want to tell some stories.
Yeah.
So, okay, in 2014, I moved out of San Francisco and we stopped playing music for maybe, I don't want to say 10 years because it hasn't been 10 years, but a really long time. And then we did Sad Snack. And the way that it ended is epic. I want to tell this story. And, I'll do this in the least incriminating way possible. So we start Normcore. Normcore is great. Josh and I are playing in this band. We keep losing bassists, but we come up with a bunch of fucking songs about Cheers. And then eventually we meet X. And X is a rad musician that's a bit troubled and keeps picking weird bar fights, but we keep writing really good songs.
Very talented.
Very talented. And we work through playing some really cool music. And we finished writing this rock opera. And at the time I was working for a now defunct musical, and one of the bouncers was like, hey, I can introduce you to some folks that are going to really put you guys in a place to be able to play some big shows in town. And so we wound up going out with this person to try to get some drinks, and they were like trying to drink us. Basically, they were like, over the course of the night, they're like, if you can keep up on this long trail of drinking and not get too fucked up, I'll introduce you to this person. So we like wound up all over town, and we made this agreement after it was a mess, and it like put both of our lives in danger. And I don't want to say too much more, but it was like, we almost got into this massive, I want to just call it a fight. It was almost like a massive fight. We had to like run away from it, but we got this deal with one of the bigger venues in town that we could get a few $100s if we just showed up with a demo of all these songs. All we had to do was record a fucking demo. So we're recording this demo for a couple months, and we start gigging with X, and X is like,
recording the album, by the way.
Yeah, the album that was like, it's out now as an album. It was going to be a demo to get this big show with our Ska-Punk Cheers themed hardcore band in 2013 or 13, one of the two.
Yeah.
And So we play what wound up being our final show. I was thinking about leaving town, but I was on the fence, and it seemed like we were about to do something really cool. And the next day I was loading gear out, and X had brought a bunch of fuckboy tech people from we're in Silicon Valley. We're in San Francisco.
Sure.
So
Mhm.
there's like, it's a dime a dozen. Somebody that's got way too much money, works all week, doesn't really know who they are, maybe flew in from another place and now lives here and doesn't know anybody, but has, again, too much money or like whatever. So we brought a bunch of, X brought a bunch of fuckboys into this practice space, and they start running around smashing things without a sense of consequence, not realizing that our friends from across the hall have some guns and don't like that. And so I came in to load the gear out, and there was just bullet casings everywhere. The whole place had been shot up, like, and like there were just holes everywhere. Like, and like the musicians across the hall who we knew, like they were our friends. Like we would have never gone to their place and smashed their stuff and laughed about the lack of consequence. Like, we're just sitting there after having shot the place up, watching cartoons on a TV while we were loading gear out. It was like horrifying. And so, after all that, it was like, well, this sucks. And I left for a little while and moved to Oregon and played some music there for a long time. And it just didn't click. And there was this, I think it was after the Bruce Lee Band album came out, the Rental Eviction, where it was like, wait, holy shit, this is the best thing I've heard in a long time. And it just, there was just I think it was like 2019, 2020, where every ska band showed up and made the best albums they could. And it was like, what am I even doing here anymore? Like, we got really close to doing something we really cared about, and we got kind of like shook about like getting shot up and just people like consistently running away with things that we really cared about. And like also like the scene out here in the city that we live in right now, before I moved back, seemed unreliable. Like the city was cutting a bunch of tax cuts to like major businesses to evict people, and just like we got on Twitter and all these motherfuckers, and it didn't seem like music had any place. But a bunch of really dedicated people showed up, not only made music stick, but like made a place where we could make ska, which is bizarre. Not just this country where ska is cool, but just like San Francisco. Like there are more ska bands coming, and it's cool to see. Plus Eichler's in the fucking East Bay. Holy shit, that's a fun fucking time.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what a cool homie to have. Like you wouldn't.
Russ has been like very, very supportive. One of the first people who, when I told him what we were doing with Sad Snack, was like, cool, I'm on board. I haven't even heard it yet. Let's do it.
We just run into him at shows sometimes. He's just the dopest.
Yeah.
Like, and like, it's cool to have like a friend that makes cool music and like makes ska.
Hell yeah.
He's like one of the OGs in supporting us as well. Like, couldn't have been a nicer guy in
Really
getting us off the
passionate
ground.
person.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So, from my perspective, I was playing in a band with my partner called Schlub. Not my partner's name is Sarah. The band is called Schlub.
Okay.
And we were having a good time with it. But it's like Weezer, Green Day inspired 90s indie style punk about touching good butts and eating pizza all day. So not thematically too far from third wave ska, but musically not. Like she was like no ska, and so like I'll sneak ska in on like we did like a Carly Rae Jepsen cover at one point, and then we do a four non-blondes.
Yeah, I play drums and sometimes.
Ilan does fill in on drums quite a bit.
I can vouch. There's ska. Josh isn't just joshing you.
But it wasn't fulfilling the checkered shaped hole in my heart. So I was pretty
you should get that looked at.
Yeah, right. I have a lot of other health problems.
That's called a perforation.
That's lymphoma.
So around 2018, 2019, I started trying to put a ska band together. I guess, and I was just kind of like trying people out. The original goal was like kind of not completely different, but different from how Sad Snack turned out. So I was jamming with a lot of people, and then I get a phone call after work one night from Ilan, and they're just like, "Oh, hey, if I moved back to San Francisco, would you want to do normcore again?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, let's do it." And then I got another phone call like a week later, like, "You know what? What if we don't do normcore, but we do a ska band?" And I was like, "Yes,
Well, you know, it was hard to
Even
even better
better.
album. Like that was the big thing about Normcore was like we kept trying to be like, well, what other characters are there besides these like 6 or 7 people on Cheers? And we'd be like, here's that background character. I'm really upset about these things. And like, you know, like imagine trying to do 3 of those, like 3 albums. That would be brutal.
Oh man. But
Yes, I go for it.
yeah, no, it was kind of a perfect storm where Ilan wanted to move back. It was the pandemic, so we would have time to just sit and write. We're in our practice space right now, and I had been renting this space for Schlub, but I knew we could use it for the ska band too. And so we had the space and time, and like we knew we collaborated well together as songwriters and musicians. So the other people who I was working with on trying to get the ska band off the floor just kind of all disappeared for
But
one
Noel
reason
showed
or
up.
another. But my really our
Noel's from a
fantastic
D&D
saxophone,
group.
yeah, our fantastic saxophone player Noel is I met through my partner, but we got to be closer friends by playing Dungeons and Dragons together.
In fact, when the band started, it was like an ancillary thing to playing Dungeons and Dragons for this group initially, and then
Yeah.
like Noelle is she played in a bunch of funk bands up in Portland, Oregon, where she grew up, and like just like really
Was not aware of ska.
yeah, and like is it's really fun. Like she has got like she writes all these like fun, cynical, beautiful songs, and like everybody basically the name of the game with working with Noelle is like always like what Adventure Time song are we gonna write? You know what I mean? Like, there's, like, this beautiful,
You know,
like,
now that you mention it, her licks are not very ska-y. Like
I know it's fun.
yeah, it's very like I haven't been able to put my finger on it while listening to y'all's music, but maybe that's it. Like her licks are like they fit in the song, everything fits really well, but they're not conventional ska licks.
That's
you
been
know?
a lot of what we've been trying to lean towards is like we fucking love the shit out of ska music, but we've been trying to approach this with like if Dinosaur Jr. was doing a ska song, what would it sound like? Or if like all these other folks were doing like if Elliott Smith was doing a ska song, just like really trying to hit it with like a different angle, like not trying to like really blunt the emotional aspect of these things, like you know. And sorry, go for it.
Oh, and I was just going to add that I think what makes ska interesting, there's a few ways to do it, but what I like when I write ska stuff is I really appreciate how easy it is to bring it back to fusion, kind of squish ska into other stuff. And it doesn't always work, but it works a lot of the time. And when it doesn't work, it can also lead to some like other interesting like approaches to how you're going to blend your other influences in with the upstrokes and the particular rhythmic structure of ska.
Somebody on Twitter today just said that they saw a band that mixed doom with ska, and I was like,
Oh,
that's
God,
already
love
like,
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
our bassist is a doom metal, stoner metal, black metal.
We always have this running gag where like the further like if you can sneak a throat voice into a break somewhere just to fuck around, like that's the name of the game.
chainsaw guitars, burn a church.
Yeah, I honestly am just waiting for. I'm just waiting for a punk or a ska band to do a 30-minute version of like Jerusalem,
Yeah.
like Dope Smoker.
If I forget you.
I just need somebody also to promise that when they die, pieces of their skull get sent to the ska community.
Yeah, can I pick a non-Zionist fun ass song? What if we just did The Decline by NoFX and just dealt with how like where are all the stupid people from? We just like make it through those 3 lyrics, then we got a pretty good song. You know what I mean?
Can you imagine how mad Fat Mike would be if you just made all of the Decline ska?
Yo, can we just do that though? Because like I love to do that NoFX between certain time periods, but I think that'd be so funny. If Fat Mike was like, hey, you gotta stop. We stopped playing ska, and now you gotta stop playing ska.
We stopped playing No Effects songs, so you also have to.
We convinced. I convinced the Mad Caddies to stop playing ska, so that no one else has to.
We had this radio station out here the other day. The local, I don't know if you have Bone, if they're across the local Bone Because
No,
no
we don't
effect,
have
like,
we have
bone.
a similar,
You know what I'm
but the
talking
bone
about,
is pretty
though.
I
outrageous.
wish we had the bone.
1077 The Bone, because like No Effects is like regional, local, big band, right? So
Of
they have
course.
this wonderfully banal statement. They're like, I heard recently No Effects is breaking up, and I'm like, oh, that's on the radio. That's interesting. I want to hear what the follow through is with this statement. Who's going to do the Punk and Drublic tour after that? And I'm like, what do you mean? Nobody. There's literally going to be nobody doing that. You're like, I love Punk and Drublic. Who's going to be doing it? It's like, you know what? Metallica. They're going to pick it up. They got it. Like there's another band. They're going to fill in. They're going to do that tour from that. Can you imagine?
Nine
if,
Inch
like,
Nails is going to play all of the No Effects.
Yo, can we
songs.
do that? Can we wait? That would be the best album if Punk and Drublic was done by Nine Inch Nails. Can we just how much money would that cost? It's just a matter of money. You're like,
With
hey,
Punk and Drublic comes up here. That plays in Edmonton because we have a big craft beer scene up here.
Yeah.
And so it's always the same 4 bands, though. Literally, you could take No Effects out, and I wouldn't know the difference.
Yeah,
and that's
it would
not
be
a dig on
exactly
No
the same.
Effects.
No.
It would still be less than Jake and I don't know, Bad Cop, or The Last Gang, or whoever
Strung
shows
Out.
up. Strung Out,
like,
yeah.
I will say one thing: like Canadian No Effects propaganda has gotten better than No Effects. It's just it's like the idea that the Canadian dollar sometimes gets better than the American dollar. Like it just like propaganda is that inflation rate.
I was not a fan of Propaganda at the time when they were kind of similar sounding bands.
Yeah.
And then as the years have progressed, it was just Propaganda was too snotty for me, to be honest, at the time. But then as the years have progressed, I love No Effects. I would say they're probably my favorite punk band overall, just because I love a good majority of their career. But Propaganda's last 4 to 5 albums have just progressively gotten so much better. They are the best punk band.
They're really good,
in my opinion. They're Weaker Thans was their original bass player.
Yeah,
I think.
That's
Yeah,
I think
shut off.
Categorize where Sad Snack sits. I think Sad Snack is that, but ska. With that Weaker Thans album, the one that makes you cry the most is that, but ska.
Retirement Plan.
Oh, Retirement Plan's the one for you. Is that the one with which one's the one with the icebergs breaking?
That's the
Oh, that one. That's the one. That's my favorite one too. Really? All right, cool. So Sad Snack's Retirement Plan, but ska.
Retirement Plan mixed with Tallahassee.
Ooh, Tallahassee, and also whatever Reviver album makes you the most depressed.
Or the most hopeful. It could go either
one
way.
of 2 ways. You know what? We like that too. With hope.
So then now I'll ask the question. So Too Short Notice is the band that you chose to cover today. A band that I heard for the first time for this podcast. So thank
Me
you.
too.
Why did you choose that band to discuss today?
We were going back and forth on this for a while, as you probably noticed, because we weren't blowing you off. We just couldn't figure it out.
Didn't want to do another Less Than Jake episode.
Yeah, part 6, 7, 10?
Just
yeah,
like
something.
anything,
I don't know. I'm
just like
losing count.
anything. Just like everyone.
Same as it ever was.
Same as ever was.
Just like Frank.
Just like Frank.
Some
right.
guy he knows.
But David Allen George is cheese.
Yeah, so we were going back and forth on this, and while we share a lot of the same musical influences stylistically, I feel like we have very different taste in within those genres. So we would be like, oh, how about this? I didn't really listen to a lot of that, but what about this? Oh, I like that one, but I haven't heard a lot of it. So we somehow came all the way back around to Too Short Notice, because they were some funky common ground that we had both
they were always the opening.
We never
act.
really bonded over this, but we were as soon as someone said it, we were both just yeah, that's the one.
They were always on the shows.
Yeah.
There was if there was a ska show within the general Pennsylvania or New Jersey area, they would just kind of be there, and they were great. They really are a good band, but they broke up. I don't know, before the 2010s started.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hope that if nothing else, we're here to talk about like a very niche time period, but like try to like rep some bands that made some cool albums that aren't incredibly hard to find. Like they exist while the internet existed in such a prominent way. Like you can totally look this up, especially if you like Ska-Punk. Like, you know, there's
And they're a band that would have been in mp3.com MySpace.
Pure Volume.
Yeah.
for sure.
Turn up the ska. Yeah.
MySpace probably even.
God, Pure Volume was like
100%.
the fucking website.
Yeah.
We had a song about that, the Wendells. Hey, we're on Pure Volume. Fuck no, we don't have an album.
I feel like I was very excited the first time I got to they got booked on a show at a church in my hometown, and like it was just one of those moments where you're like, oh wow, like Too Short Notice is coming down from North Jersey for this, and then like you get a little older and you're like, oh, I've seen Too Short Notice like 500 times now, and you start to realize like how small the Northeast is as a music scene and as a region. But yeah, like they do some really cool stuff with horns. They were a female fronted band at a time where there was a lot of like macho, all dude, all male fronted music in their scene, and like they sing about a lot of very relatable things for someone who's in their coming out of high school going into early college.
Yeah, we were talking about this just like a little while earlier. There's like one track on Jug Handles,
Diners, Jug Handles, and Cigarettes,
where Shannon's singing about. I'm gonna paraphrase because like I'm not gonna do this right, but like because like it's funny. Like we were talking about this earlier. Like all of our friends had these albums. I don't think either of us physically owned these albums. That's the funny part about it. But, like, oh shit, I had I think I had the red light, stoplight one.
Mm-hmm.
I just heard it so much that like when I went back and listened to it, I'm like, how did I not own this? If I didn't, then I just like was in a car around this all the time. But we saw them like countless times. But like there's that one about college where Shannon's like, you're going to college, you're going to learn things that your parents hate. Hey, mom and dad, I'm building a bong. All this like weird shit where it's like, it's very much about like the beginning of your adventure as a person, like where you're leaving your folks' place and whatever that means to you, like this very specific regional suburban New Jersey, Pennsylvania kind of experience is represented kind of here because they don't exist after a certain point, you know, and I don't think they exist past the point where they either go leave high school or maybe a couple of years after in their lives. And it's amazing that it sounds that good. Like bands like Catch-22 are high school bands. Like Keys Be Nights is a high school band making an album, and that always fucks my head up. Like this whole scene, all these bands are high school bands, and they exist either for longer. Like Arrogant Sons of Bitches exist for maybe 5 or 6 years longer outside of high school, and they break up and Bomb the Music Industry starts. But like these are bands that started at these very early transition points in their adventure as human beings, and it's fascinating.
And I think that that's what we'll be talking about when we get into it right away here, is that this is a very specific point in time, a very brief point in time. And I think in terms of ska history, which is technically what we are a podcast about, that this will kind of showcase something that could easily be lost to history, but thankfully is being revived. And like to your point, it's easy to find. And I think there's a lot of analogies between this band and we've covered Spring Heeled Jack, which was like a Connecticut band in the 90s that if anyone hears that episode, we did it with Hans Gruber and the Diehards, and they also were only around for like 5 years and had a brief reunion later on. So very similarly, we'll be able to kind of see the one-to-one there. So let's tarry no further, and let's get into the Time Ska Sheen with a brand new Time Ska Sheen theme. Hit it, Joey.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Love it. Thanks to Keelan.
Nice.
Really
yeah.
Yeah,
Who
it's a
also
gooder, right?
who also makes our trombonist theme song. So literally is just putting together our themes.
Putting in work. He's
You guys should
the
make a
theme
compilation
man.
So Time Ska Sheen takes us back to 2002 or something like that. There is not a ton of information about this band on the internet, but I cobbled together some information at Last FM. I dug up their old Tripod website. That was a fun blast.
So we found their
And-
Facebook earlier.
Their Facebook has not that much information, but an
Nothing.
awful lot of pictures.
Yes.
And I also was on Discogs trying my best to find out who played what when. And so feel free to jump in with stories or correct me because these things could be wrong. So in the early 2000s, we're for sure in northern New Jersey, where the death of ska was barely a whisper on the wind, as many up-and-coming bands were playing a faster, newer style. Think around this time, Streetlight Manifesto, the Super Specs, or the Miasmics. One band to form during this exciting time was Too Short Notice. It took a lot of time for the band to formulate its unique sound, as everyone was fresh out of high school, but after many lineup changes, they settled on the core lineup of aforementioned Shannon Smith on the vocals, Matt Mueller on bass, Jeff Burlier on the guitar, his brother Scott on the trombone, and Pat Sousa on the sousaphone. I mean trumpet. And Freddie Iozino on the drums. With most of the band in college at the time, the band enlisted fellow student to basically produce, mix, and master the whole thing in his basement. That album was November 2002's Red Light, Green Light, a brisk, high-speed affair with biting lyrics, fast tempos, and elaborate horn lines. The album was released independently, but thanks to distribution online via, here's another early aughts website, Interpunk. And Buzz both local. So Buzz both local and on. Yeah, that's right. We're all wooing for Interpunk.
I did. I don't know where they're at now.
Yeah, that is a great question. They could be around still for all I know.
Who knows?
Like, yeah.
Where am I going to get my Dead Kennedys albums? You know, I live in the suburbs. There's no store.
Get a Misfits patch, I guess.
I need 2 nautical star patches to go on my denim vest.
That's all I remember getting off of it.
They would have compilations with every order, and you get like the Honest Don's comp or whatever.
It
still
still
there. We just looked
exists.
it up, and Interpunk is still around.
But look exactly the same.
Yo, you guys want to go in on some compilations? Yo, if I get we get a bunch of stuff, we'll get the bonus patches, we'll split them, it'll be so good.
I love an Honest Don compilation. We get to listen to Diesel Boy, the Teen Idols. Nerf Herder, yeah. We did an episode on Perry Grip because he makes kids music. That's a bunch of ska songs, believe it or not.
Oh yeah,
I think about his song "Golf" all the time on For Those About to Shop, where it just has it's like golf and the ball hits and there's a pause and you hear it go into the goal. I'm sorry, the cup.
No, for those, yes.
The goal.
And we're referring to Perry Grip's solo album where he wrote jingles called For Those About to Shop, We Salute You. It is a classic. I'm glad we're talking about it. It is very, very good.
It's Splash City Rockers, but it's Pita City Falafel.
Oh no.
If you want to get a pita and you're feeling hunger awful, head on down to Pita City Falafel. So
Very good.
We shouted out Perry Grip, Interpunk. This is a good episode.
Good episode already.
So the album sold 1,000 copies and gained the group notoriety to tour and continue making music because they did not know this is what they're gonna do. We will listen to before we start talking about this album, I have the song Stitch queued up. Let's start with that one.
Hell yeah.
It's people's favorites. I do appreciate the basement production of this.
Yeah, I like the production of all of this stuff, actually. I'm glad that we're in the era now where DIY production on albums is listenable. It's great.
There's something about this level of production that I'm so nostalgic for that it blinds me to how bad it is.
Totally.
It's funny because it makes it always sound like they won't fit in with a pop song from this time period. They're very much they divulge on opposite ends of the audio spectrum. Where it's bedroom production now could fit in on a pop station very easily.
This smacks of bands like Taj Motel Trio or Flip the Switch.
Good.
Also, they're really good and had but also had that basement production because it was all self-produced. And I love it. It's great.
We were talking about Daily's Gone Wrong earlier for local ska bands around this time period that had interesting production. Or Hub City Stompers. Who else?
But there were a lot of bands that sounded that were from a little earlier from this South Jersey, from the South Jersey side, like SGR and I'm blanking on the other ones, but SGR stands out in particular because they were a late 90s ska band that was getting a bunch of press, but this is what their songs sounded like. And when you would go see them live, you're like, wow, this is so good. And you listen to the record, you're like, this is okay.
Yo, Melmac was like that. I fucking love the shit out of Melmac, named after the planet from Alf.
Yeah.
They would play
Yes.
yeah, I don't know if you're familiar with them. They were like one of many bands that had horns, but like played pop punk and like was in ska shows, but didn't do the upstrokes. And they'd always
Oh,
have
like Tip the Van. Tip the Van was like the
Yeah.
band that would never
was
play
pretty
ska,
cool,
but was
though.
always at the ska show. Yeah.
I think that like it's like you either play one half of Less Than Jake album or you play the other half of Less Than Jake album. That's how you choose to live your life, you know?
Yeah.
You either play the ska songs, or you play the punk songs with the horns, and that's your life. From there, you pick that.
The thing that I noticed listening to this album was they play really fucking fast.
Yeah, totally some like early Skank and Pickle fast vibes
Yeah.
for sure.
So
They do this
fast.
shit with a hi-hat sometimes where they'll do these stagger beats where like it gets to a point where either you play a single note on the hi-hat like 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4, or you do this like they do this cool beat like and da, 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 da,
Yeah.
It's
Whereas
almost like
totally-
they're almost like doing like a ska blast beat.
Yeah, totally.
It's
for
almost
sure.
like it's somewhere between a blast beat and like a blues shuffle, but it's so fast
Oh, yeah.
that it becomes like a really straight time instead of like swung. You know what I mean?
Yes, very
Yeah.
much so. Well, another thing that I noticed about this album is that it's clear that they were listening to like the pop punk of the time. Like it's very much a ska record. There are ska parts and ska songs, but all of the like the musical structure of those songs is like just like that era Sum 41 or
Oh yeah.
like I'm trying to think of other bands like not pop punk like the really sugary stuff, but kind of the stuff just below the surface, you know, like the Phoenix TXs and like the bands like that, you know.
So catchy.
Yeah. And I think there's a real melodic sensibility to it. Yeah, like for sure.
Yeah, it really like I know around this time ska started picking up sort of a lot of genres, but this like it doesn't sound the way third wave mashes pop punk and ska together. This doesn't have that same sensibility. It's a different style of pop punk and a different kind of ska put together, and it creates a really like authentic kind of sound, I feel like.
Yeah.
There's a certain thing happening in ska around that time too that I think a lot of people like that why it still fit into mixed bill shows on the East Coast, where all these ska bands had been listening to all the third wave bands and being like, that looks like fun, but we're gonna do like just this one thing slightly different, or this
Totally.
one, you know, whether it's the drums or the guitar, like a lot of the horn lines kind of follow through with the more melodic hooky stuff from third wave stuff, but the way certain bands like Too Short Notice will tweak just like one or two things about how they're structuring a song or what they're doing makes it just hit just that little bit.
You're
different.
right. If the horn lines were played as a guitar line for a lot of these songs, and if the upstrokes were just straight guitar strums, they'd sound like Buddha or Cheshire Cat, like by Blink.
Yes. 100%. That was the vibe that I got from it. Like they're not. It's not that the songs aren't ska, but if you just changed the instrumentation from horns and stuff and took the upstrokes and just made it a straight power chord thing, it's all very much like the structures and the way the songs sound is that era of pop punk for me, which I like. I love that stuff. So it was working for me. That's for sure.
We found that with a lot of what we've approached things with Sad Snack is to try to be like, all right, well, what if we were to approach trying to make like a Dinosaur Jr. song or something like that, but with upstrokes as a ska song? Like, how would the horns sound if the horns were trying to take over these like riffy guitar parts? And so for some of the newer ones, we've been really trying to approach it with like, what would that look like if these things had ska breaks, you know, like what would it look like? I remember there's a ska song in that one Vines album, you know, gotta get out of the way, you know, gotta get free. That band, they had a fucking ska song on there and it was dope. And it's just like,
Did they really?
Yeah.
Now I gotta go back and listen to it.
Factory. It's at the end of the Vines album, Get Free, I think. It's got a bunch of their singles on it. They're dope. They're like a pretty simplistic pub rock, early 2000s. Like
they're contemporaries with like the Strokes and the Hives.
Yeah,
and the White
100%,
Stripes.
but they like
Yeah.
managed to do, they had a cool cover of Miss Jackson and a ska song on one of their albums. Miss Jackson by Outkast.
Yeah.
And the ska song is called The Factory, and it's like just like a really grungy ass British borderline second wave ska song. And it just kind of goes to show you that everybody likes this stuff and you can do it, but it's just like a choice at some certain points. You know, do you want to try to work with this or do you not? That's like, you know, as an artist, kind of where you just land sometimes.
Speaking
And,
about self-referential ska, I have another song queued up.
Yeah.
Let's listen to No Skank Room. I will say this about the lyrics on the first album. Didn't dig super deep.
Yeah,
the next
very
album
clearly
much
right out of high
different.
school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this one's definitely like really just looking around the room and writing a song about
To
it.
be a really special lyricist at the age of 18 to be able to dig far further past the surface.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
really catch 100% and maybe Big D.
Yeah, but even with both of them, they're writing stories about people around them in a lot of ways, right? I think they were just good raconteurs, able to kind of absorb the stories of their area.
I guess though, like, how are you supposed to write something in the second person about real time with opinions at that age? Like, I guess you
Exactly.
would wind up writing a cool story, or you don't. Like, Carol
That's so
King.
catchy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this is like a pop punk song, you know?
Yeah.
They're just doing the woes. Like,
This is like I'm sure if you saw them 100 times, this feels like like they have to play it every show.
Oh yeah, definitely
Like,
a
just
single
like, yeah.
on. It feels very Catch-22.
It's weird to
Yeah.
remember, like, hearing these and think about all the mosh pits that, like, you were ever in listening to these same songs. Because, like,
If
they're
you
like, a
had-
lot of these, sorry.
if you had to put a number on the amount of times you circle pitted to that song, what would it be?
That one?
Yeah.
I think I've seen the band, I want to say 10 or 11, maybe 12 times. So I'd probably say about that many times. So it's like,
100% success rate.
yeah.
It was the kind of thing where if you went to a ska show in like Jersey or Pennsylvania or New York, there was a pit going the entire time. It didn't really stop.
Up
Yeah.
until
That's
that
how
really-
Edmonton is here too.
It's because of every city that has a big hardcore scene, they have big pit scenes. Like I feel like it's a 1-to-1 thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. No, out San Francisco, not a big pit scene.
No,
We're getting there a little better.
We've
People
got,
move now, which is good.
There's lots of Skank Room. Tons
Yeah.
of Skank Room.
Yeah.
we
I
should,
love it. I want more Skank Room.
If you're listening to short notice, we found it. We found the spot with the Skank Room. Okay.
Let's listen to one more song. I also have Spy Hunter because why not?
Spy
Because it's,
Hunter!
it's a spy song. I love spy ska.
Yeah.
I remember, like, in the pits, that was like one of the big ones, you know?
So fun. It's so like surfy.
Yeah.
It's a genre of itself. Here in Canada, we have a band called the Kingpins that played a lot of spy ska, and they were
Yeah.
incredible.
I went like all of them downstate one time to see a show with them, and like they're in some pictures in the middle of like nowhere in Trenton. And it was like, wait, we see dumbasses up north all the time. Like, what are you doing like 2 hours south? Like, it was like that small a circuit.
Okay, but hear me out, because Chris Barron just put out that like fake spy movie soundtrack. What if we do a fake ska spy movie soundtrack?
Hey, there you
Yeah.
go.
We need more horns.
We need more horns.
The fake movie,
Well,
the fake
like,
spy
they all do
movie though.
Yeah.
It would have to be like an Austin Powers but ska type of deal.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like, definitely
Maybe-
all
maybe-
villain themes.
Could it be
Yeah,
a
we
theme?
came up with the idea for our next music video, though.
Yeah, like literally all villains. So Josh
Okay.
plays Ska-Punk, Smell the Indica. So I do a synth rock opera called Indica in the Day, and Josh has been playing a long-standing character called Ska-Face, who starts as a heel, like a villain in the series, and initially gets killed, and then shows back up trying to get people into their ska band to no avail.
And as they develop a long series of angst and just want to eat their mozzarella sticks, they encounter a sad, like, Hot Topic ghost, and they form a band. We're making cool videos for it. Like, isn't it's funny. So, like, Indica K is on Ska-Punk International, and Chris is cracking up, being like, "It's not ska. Like, we'll see how people feel about it. Like, it's not ska. It's good. I'm in. I think we got a thing. But like, and like after years of playing in ska bands, people being like, if you play ska, nobody's gonna like it. It's just a very weird head spin. Like, especially like
If it's not ska, people might not like it.
It's amazing. It is amazing to be in this time period right now. And like, Indica's rad. We've got a bunch of cool ska musicians working on it. The goal is to make Depeche Mode, but like folk punk.
Yeah, I've seen video of you doing it as a solo thing, and it is quite entertaining.
Thanks.
It's impressive to me every time. And
Yeah. You have so many things going on. It was boggling my mind. Like, singing and playing guitar is a lot for me.
Yeah, exactly.
I got the idea from that movie Juice with Omar Epps, where he's got all the turntables, and Tupac's gets him involved in this murder, and then he has to go back and work all the turntables. It's like, I looked at his face; he looked so stressed. Like, man, if I could just juggle my regular depression and just like work a drum machine and some keyboards, then I'll be okay.
You literally just said, if I could look that stressed, I'll be fine.
Yeah, that's about as like normal level stressed, right? Like, you don't work like a day job and have like an eviction looming over you, right? Like,
this man that is clearly having some issues. If I could just get in that headspace, things would be pretty good.
It's got Tupac in it. How can I say no? You did All Eyes on Me. It's good. It's really good. It's not ska though, so you know what? I'm sorry for bringing it up.
Yeah, we only talk about ska here.
Yeah. And with that, I think it's time for a break. So when we come back, more Too Short Notice.
Oh, hey, oh, what the fuck you doing with your life these days? Oh, hey, oh, what the fuck you doing with yourself?
Welcome back to Checkered Past. Josh and Ilan are here from Sad Snack, and we're talking Too Short Notice. We just finished talking about their debut, and we'll take the time machine forward another year to 2003. The band spent every week playing shows and toured through the Midwest and the South. By opening for several high-profile bands at the time, the band came into contact with Steve Foote of Big D and the Kids Table, who invited them to Boston in November 2003 to record a follow-up. While the album itself only took 3 days to record, it took over a year and a half to finally get released. 2004 proved to be the hardest year for the band, as many of the members couldn't handle the stress of being in a band long-term. It saw both Pat and Freddie decide to quit after 2 years and over 100 shows. After finding new members difficult, they eventually landed on a restable lineup, began touring aggressively in support of their second and what would be final album. The swan song was 2005's Diners, Jug Handles, and Cigarettes, which we will listen to in a second. Would have a lot more serious songwriting, I would say, more subdued, not as high frantic energy, thoughtful songwriting. Jeff and Scott would later join High School Football Heroes after their reunion. And a fun fact, before we get into the last album, here is the band posting their most embarrassing moments from their old Tripod website. This is fun. Scott said, "Whenever I accidentally step on Jeff's pedal and mess everything up, that's why we should just lose the pedal and become a traditional ska band." Matt,
Fair.
Matt said, "The most embarrassing thing I did was the time I knocked over a row of mic stands and they all fell off stage." And finally, Shannon has this story, which is delightful. "It wasn't on stage with Too Short Notice, but it was with Big D and the Kids Table. I've wanted to do that snotty girl part in their song She Won't Ever Figure It Out since I was in high school. So I asked Dave McWane and he said it was okay. So I'm all nervous and shaking because being on stage with Big D is pretty intense. Anyway, I got so wrapped up in spitting out the first line, I kept repeating it in my head over and over so I wouldn't have such a brain fart and forget when I got up there. So I jump on stage and spit out the first line. He's such an asshole. Then nothing. I forgot the rest of the lyrics. It was seriously the worst moment of my life, hands down. I wanted to crawl into a hole and die. I looked like the biggest tool in the room, and I wouldn't stop apologizing to Dave afterwards. I'm still sorry, Dave."
Wow.
So that was fun. So let's talk about it. That's basically the end of Too Short Notice. Like, they would tour a little bit more, they would do that, but they wouldn't record anymore. So by the end of the 2000s, the band would call it quits. A career of about 5 years. So came in, I think you made a point earlier where it really is a moment in time. They're talking about a certain period of life. Really, the band itself is a soundtrack to college, because they started basically in their freshman year of college and ended right after their senior year. I used American terms.
You did.
I did it.
Good job.
Was that
That
grade
felt good.
22 in Canada?
We could just go 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
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 Okay, cool.
Uh,
I don't
we just
I-
number it. So let's kick off our discussion of this album with the first track, Go On, Get Out of Here. Oh, the bass goes
Oh, wow.
wild. It's wilding on this thing.
And the bass tone on this record is like pretty sick.
This does have production akin to a Big D record.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing with they did that last Arrogant Sons of Bitches album at the exact same time, if I'm not mistaken. I remember both of those bands.
3 Cheers for Disappointment.
Yeah, they're both done by Big D. Or Steve. rather.
Steve Put, yeah. Non-standard ska riff.
Yeah, it's I had it
You
in
know
my
what
head the
something
first
reminds me
time
of? Cowboys and Indians by the Gadgets.
Well,
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, you
The
hear it.
Gadgets would.
I'm going for it.
The Gadgets is a band we've come back to the well on a couple of times and talked about, but man, they're fucking wild. Like, that's very challenging in a good way band to listen to.
They hit a couple of things right ahead of the curve, and also were like the most like DIY Hellcat sounding band, you know?
Yeah. Because that's how I first heard them, would have been Bad Gadget on one of the Give 'Em the Boots,
Oh,
for
that's
sure.
such a good fucking song.
Yeah.
Give 'em a
It's an that's an S tier ska song forever. Anybody listening to this, haven't heard Bad Gadget by the Gadgets before, it'll change your life.
Is that a
like,
One Punch
literally.
Man reference?
What, Bad Gadget?
No, S tier.
Oh, S tier? Oh no, that's more of an internet reference, I think, but it could be a One Punch Man. And I should know that as a manga guy. But One Punch Man's one I haven't really gotten into yet, so we're getting there.
Yeah, you have a large wall of manga. That's surprising.
Yeah, that's another side of my life. So
That
this
song-
record, let's talk
that-
about
I
it.
was just gonna say, yeah, that song always like hits right away because that guitar line is still, and the guitar, I think it's guitar, bass, and hi hat. Like basically, just the hi hat are all going like so fast, and then the horns come in, and it's like a cool way to intro a ska record because it doesn't necessarily sound like something you would pick up on like a big D, or maybe on a Big D record, but like definitely not on a Boss Tones or Real Big Fish or
It
Less Than
opens
Bake
like
record.
right up with like a lot of time with like a Ska-Punk stuff. You don't necessarily open up with the distorted parts. You save that for the chorus or whatever, and like you've got like the distorted parts at a certain point when the song opens up, but it just comes right out the gate with that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like it makes
Yeah.
it really big, and then it drops into a ska section, which is like an interesting choice. You know, I really dig that it doesn't hit ska right off the bat. It just has all those hits.
It does hit hooks off the bat though.
Yeah.
Hooky. Like there's like
Oh,
3 big hooks in that song. Like that's a killer album kickoff for sure.
And
Super
Shannon's
good, yeah.
vocal delivery, much different. She sounds much different on this record.
Yeah, more controlled.
Yeah,
Like,
there's a
yeah.
little bit of a like contemporaneous to like your Chase Long Beaches of the world, or whoever else was going on in the early 2000s. It was maybe even a Monique Powell. You get a little bit of Save Ferris in there. But trying to be singing more, I guess, like more melodically singing than just kind of barking more than was on the first record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still delivers
Which-
it with
yeah.
more of like where Save Ferris was kind of mirroring that Gwen Stefani like poppy melodic vibe. Like with Too Short Notice, I always get like that New Jersey snotty punk,
Sure.
Yeah,
that
for
like,
sure.
very regional like snotty punk delivery, because it's not like it it's more melodic than the last one and much more controlled, but still like that's controlled shouting into like a better
Yeah,
microphone.
like it's the difference between somebody who's like putting out an album and then starting to tour it versus somebody who's been touring an album for 100 shows.
100 shows and a semi-professional production versus a basement, like all of it. It's just like sort of a perfect storm of being able to maybe even deliver what they're intending versus what they can get away with.
You mentioned Tip the Van earlier, and they're like label mates and contemporaries from Nebraska, the Heat Machine. They're good buds of mine, and they like both. Tip the Van was definitely doing more of a pop punk thing, whereas Heat Machine was definitely sticking more to like third wave ska. They were both definitely jumping off of Dancehall Crashers with the very like polished vocal harmonies, two female lead vocal harmonies, and then to have like Too Short Notice also kind of in that mix of like bands from that time. Maybe they were a little earlier. I feel like
a smidge, because Tip the Van also got the benefit of touring with Real Big Fish when Real Big Fish had their big comeback around their like live album,
right?
And that would have been 2007-ish, so just a smidge before.
But like Too Short Notice still has this like New Jersey bottom end to it that like you don't get from a lot of, even like Tip the Van I think is Connecticut or at least like New Englandy, and Nebraska's very far from any coast, but New Jersey has this like, it's something in the water over there with the Omarosa rolls and the wah-wah, and it is like a very specific type of vocal delivery that I like really like.
Let's get into another track here. Let's go with "Show Me the Door." That's another song I got.
Oh, that one's really good.
I feel like this went in a different direction than I was expecting. It definitely took me back.
I think what I like about
wild
the
bass
drums
lines.
on a lot of these are they take a lot of chances, and sometimes you can hear them click into place, which I think is my favorite thing about like sort of like non-studio, non-polished recordings. Like this is very clearly done by like a polished, solid fucking punk recorder. But these moments you can hear the band as they would be live, like, and sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't, and that's really fucking magical.
Totally.
Also,
and I like
this horn section is so good.
Also, I don't know if you heard, sometimes he doesn't hit the snare on the chorus, just as these fucking hi-hat rolls.
As a non-drummer, I definitely noticed that.
Oh no, is that sarcasm? My radar's having a hard time reading it.
It was hard sarcasm.
Yeah, it was so dry. I'm gonna need some water.
Rob can be a desert at times.
Yeah. This is the, I don't know, brand.
It wouldn't be a show about New Jersey if we didn't do a little sarcasm in there.
That song really reminded me a lot of like the Midwest style, because I know they toured the Midwest a whole bunch. You know, the amelodic horn lines that are kind of doing two different things at once.
That horn, the horn delivery on that one kind of gave me a little bit of a Mad Caddies vibe, sort of.
Yeah,
it's kind of wild and all over the place. Not quite circusy, but like has that kind of like a manic sort of vibe to it.
The hits on Stitch remind me of. I was thinking about that last night. The hits on Stitch, like dun dun dun.
Yeah, totally right.
That one Mad Caddies song, Road Rash, right?
Like Road Rash.
Yeah. Like I really think they must have been listening to that as well.
Yeah, it would have been like contemporary to that time for sure.
Oh, it would have been after. Road Rash was 97.
Oh, okay. So, but would have been something they're listening to. Yeah.
Speaking of something they listened to, the last song I have queued up is a cover. Why not?
Yeah, Toasters.
Yeah. So this is a Toasters cover. Which I was like, you know, doesn't say cover when I'm looking at it. But I'm like, it sounds like it's going to be a Toasters song. And I was delighted to find out it was. And of course, they're playing it faster.
But it's one of those situations where, like, this is what the posters sound like live in a lot of
Yes.
ways. So it's cool to just get that on your own record in a way.
Plus, they're like young enough that they might have just learned this piece of land.
Yeah.
Like we're all about the same age, they're a little older. That shows.
Controversial. I might like it better than the original. Yeah, might be a little spicy on that. I like that. The original, of course, I love, but I like their version of it. To your point, it sounds more live. I think that's what I like about it.
Yeah, it pushes the tempo just a little bit, and then you have the advantage of not being stuck with the completely clean guitar. Like, he always puts a little grit on there.
Yeah, the guitar tone in this on this song in particular, it's really like kind of gives it some oomph, you know?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
good.
That, like, straight ahead ska guitar can get, like, pretty thin pretty fast if you're not mixing it right.
Yeah, definitely. I
So,
think maybe that's why the guitar sounds really good on this album is because the bass is really like kind of a scoopy sort of tone. So I
mhm.
think they fit really well together in this album, a little more bit than that first album, that's for sure.
And
Yeah.
so, Sad Snack, what are your feelings on the album as a whole? How do you feel about what I'm gonna have to try to get the name right? Jugheads, Diners, and
Jugheads.
Jug Handles, Jugheads.
Stay out of
You know what?
Riverdale.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with it. Diners, Jug Handles, and cigarettes, but I like Jugheads, Archies, and Betties.
I like the Archies. Sugar is pretty good, you know?
Hell yeah.
Do. Yeah, it's a fucking dope album. Like, definitely, it's hard to explain what hot nostalgia feels like, but that would be it. Like, I think that even if you didn't live through this, and even if you weren't around seeing this band all the time, if you were to turn this on, you'd hear what it sounds like to record an album at a point where it's before bedroom pop. This band could have recorded their own album maybe 2 or 3 or 4 years later, but they clearly had to go to people to put this together. And to do that, it just creates a different set of processes. You know what I mean? Like,
It also puts a different like bands that put their own stuff out and like do the bedroom stuff. You can just put it up on SoundCloud. You can put it up on Spotify. You can do all those things yourself now. But when they were doing this, they like if you're paying $1,000 to record, mix, and master something, especially back then you probably want you want to get it out there further. You're not just doing that for yourself or for to throw it up on SoundCloud. You're doing it because you're going to press a CD and you're going to tour and you're going to play shows.
This is also a time period of
Very
like free CDs, of handing CDs out to people outside of like 3 floors of Ska was a big thing where we grew up at a place called the Knitting Factory in Manhattan, in Lower Manhattan. It's moved since, and I think the new one's closing, but it was an old knitting factory that had 3 different stories, and they would do 3 floors of Ska, and there would be people handing out all sorts of albums, and like bands like Too Short Notice would play, and like Mustard Plug and Streetlight, and everybody would be on like the top floors and whatnot. And like you'd get all these albums, and the fact that they sold 1,000 albums at that point in time, playing all these shows, and the fact that the internet doesn't really die. Like all these early websites that they connected through, and they booked tours before a lot of social media was really taking off. So they really had to like go out of their way to figure out what the emails were, the phone contacts were. Like I've only been booking tours since the Facebook era, at least, but this band has almost no Facebook presence because that was at the end of their timeline. It really puts a time capsule on like what it meant to want to do this so much that you would approach people to record these things and have no way of recording it yourself. You would have a CD and burn CDs off a computer at your house and come up with the own artwork yourself. And really just these things are just a little bit beyond where Sad Snack as people started to even conceptualize, like people that are maybe 4 or 5 years older than us, and what it took to put this together at the time. It's fascinating. Yeah. It's amazing music, but yeah.
And it still hits. Like it's still like if that album came out today, it might be mixed and mastered and sound very different. But like the overall content, the style, like that could very easily be a modern ska band putting out their first or second release.
I could see them
For
touring
sure.
Bumsy and the Moochers.
Bumsy and the Moochers.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
there's a very Bumsy feel to it. Absolutely.
Totally.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And so that wraps up the Time Ska Sheen for another episode. Are we ready to play a game? All right.
I'm ready.
Go for
Let's
it.
go. All right.
I don't have.
You don't have a piece of
I don't have
paper.
a piece of paper.
Joey, don't worry
I'll-
about it.
Okay.
You got stressed out.
I got stressed, man.
because I usually give you shit about it.
Yeah, usually it's. I'm hosting today. I don't do. You gotta take notes, I guess.
All right.
Dang.
Here, let me hand this paper through the screen.
You guys got it?
Yep,
I not only
got
see it,
it.
but I've also received it.
There you
I
go.
improv'd it from you.
Man, fax machines are weird in the future.
Yeah, this computer
what-
does
are
still
you-
have a
oh, Joey is grabbing what looks to be like a CRA form,
Yeah,
checking
well,
out
something.
his taxes,
Oh,
maybe.
yeah, it is. Yeah, it's for my
GST
employment
refunds.
insurance,
Okay, your
because
employment
I'm going to
insurance
school.
because you're in school. Got it. This is good content.
Good content. Here we go.
All right.
Game time.
I sang a song, and I'm not even sure I know the melody. Okay, here we go. I'm starting with a name that's a joke. I'm asked how to change it fast, and the message couldn't be any clearer that they're gonna sue me right in my face. Take a look at the name and then make a change. This game's called the Name Change Game.
What was that song though?
Man in the Mirror.
Here.
It's time. Yeah. Because he says change in it. That's
Okay.
literally the only reason why. Okay. This is how this game works. In this game, Josh, Ilan, and Joey will be given the name of a band who, due to often legal reasons, needed to change their name to their current, more famous name.
Okay.
There is a brief clue attached to try and help narrow it down. So buzz in with your name or ska or buzz or whatever, and the most point wins. So let's start. Oh, I don't even have it. This is funny. I didn't
The
even click
game,
on it.
Rob.
Is this
I got it.
between
Okay.
me and Ilan?
And Joey.
And Joey. Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so yeah, and they're not ska bands. Just FYI.
No.
Yeah.
All right, I'm
just
not gonna
just
get any
music
of these.
bands.
I don't know about other music.
You'll be surprised.
Purposely, I'm not going
You'll
to
be surprised. There's a little clue.
Music.
All right. So number 1, Jefferson Airplane. Classic rock band actually changed their name twice because the co-founder felt that Jefferson belonged to him.
Joey.
Starship.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm
What
giving
was-
it to
yeah,
Ilan. See,
yeah.
there we go.
Nice.
Right?
What was the other one? Starship.
Jefferson Starship.
Jefferson.
Oh, right,
literally
it was
took
just Starship,
Jefferson
and then
with him because
right.
he said, "I'm Jefferson."
Oh,
Got
it
it.
was also Thomas Jefferson, right? That was the third
That's
one?
right.
Yeah.
Thomas Jefferson played in Jefferson Airplane.
That's how they got their name.
That's how they got their
with
name.
George
Man,
Jefferson.
history's weird.
Yeah, George Jefferson
And-
too, and Weezy.
And George Jetson.
Whoa.
Yeah, the jettison airplane where you jettison everything.
All right. Number 2, the Chicago Transit Authority. Dad rock band needed to change its name after getting threatened by the actual CTA.
Joey.
Oh, Joey got it
I
fast.
know this one. It's just Chicago.
That's right. The band Chicago, it's called the Chicago Transit Authority. Glad they changed their name. They still suck. All right. Number 3, Sex Maggots. 90s alt rock band
Oh.
needed to change its name after a venue refused to put their name on the marquee, naming themselves after a toy ad instead.
Oh, Nickelback.
No. Nickelback has to do with selling weed,
I always
It
thought it was about Starbucks.
isn't it?
No, it doesn't. It's Starbucks.
Is
yeah.
it Starbucks? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, because you
Because
get
everything-
everything out of coffee then.
Yeah.
Oh, got
It's-
it.
It's very stupid.
It's even worse. They're from Alberta.
yeah,
anyway.
It's not Nickelbag.
Yeah.
Nickelback would be like a stoner rock version of Nickelback would be pretty funny called
Wait,
Nickelback.
can we
though.
just walk away with
Nickelback.
this?
Look at-
Like, can we just all do Nickelback, but like we make Nickelback songs not shitty anymore?
Yeah.
Josh is out. Josh officially is over.
What a- No, that's just too big an ask.
Yeah.
Well, we
it's
just
pretty
pay
tough.
people. We'd have to just like invest some money to make them not hate it.
I'm Joey. I'm gonna make a guess here.
Yep.
Slipknot.
No, I did say alt rock band.
Oh fuck.
9 Inch
Oh.
Nails.
Nope.
now I have
Named
another...
after a toy.
Oh,
A
shit.
toy.
Bomberman 5000.
Ooh,
Whoa.
I love that, but no.
Ah,
So
Okay.
the band is the Goo Goo Dolls.
Oh,
What Yo,
um,
if you told me
Sex Maggot?
was
They're called
that
Sex
fucking
Maggots.
ballad shit. This is fucking Black Balloon from the movie City of Angels by Sex Maggots. Yeah, I don't want the world. Can you imagine?
Mookie Blaylock. This is number 4.
Oof.
Grunge superstars needed to change their name after fear of reprisal for being named after a basketball player and wanted something that they could merchandise.
Foo Fighters.
Soundgarden.
You're oh god, just dancing around it. Everyone's just dancing around it. Joey?
Pearl Jam.
Yes, Joey.
Yeah.
Pearl Jam.
They
chose that
wanted
one
something
over
more
another
marketable.
band.
They wanted something
Yeah.
more marketable, so they named themselves after
Jizz.
Jizz. Yes, that's
Yeah.
right.
Wow. Good for them.
Alrighty. Number
God,
5.
they suck.
Tom and Jerry.
Shitty
Influential
band.
folk rock duo, had a silly name, but after getting signed to a label, the heads asked them to change because, of course, they did. They just went with their real names instead.
Simon and Garfunkel.
Correct.
Whew.
Thank you.
Yes.
Who was that? Nope.
Blood.
Like a lot.
Yeah, it was
Feels a lot.
the colonizer and the movie star.
All right, number 6. Shrinky Dinks. Bro down 90s rock pals faced a pending lawsuit from Milton Bradley for taking their copyright, so they landed on the rather innocuous choice instead.
Joey.
Yes.
Sugar Ray.
Joey's just got
Really?
it with the
Damn.
yeah.
Sugar Ray.
With the
You know?
Yes, I do know.
Green Machine.
All right.
Green Machine.
All right. I got one that's a gimme, but
Well,
it's fun
why?
anyway. Number 7. Verve. One-hit wonder 90s act band had a rather strange request from the similarly named label to make a name change. Can you guess?
That's Verve Pipe.
Verve Pipe. Give Josh, that's a Josh win.
Yeah, give it
me
to
one
Josh.
of them.
Yeah,
That's
Josh,
the only one I'm
Josh,
going to
We're
get.
giving it to Josh.
I only know Verve Pipe because of Mustard Plug.
Yeah, it's true. For the life of me, I cannot remember any other names to the bands. I'm just a freshman.
Can I give you some very bad news? Incorrect, not Verve Pipe.
What?
Damn.
Who else had a band around the same time with a very similar name?
Oh my goodness.
Verve Alpert and the Tijuana Brass.
Oh, Joey, that's a Joey reference.
That is a very good one.
Oh,
Thank you.
I'm just gonna give
So-
this point
so-
just for that. You get
so-
a point.
don't think the freshman. Think Bittersweet Symphony.
Also the Verve. Wait.
The Verve. Correct.
Wow.
Really?
Oh.
The label
That's not
said
their
you can't
fault.
call yourself Verve. You have to call yourself the Verve.
They
That's so
were
dumb.
sued by the Stones, if I'm not mistaken, right?
The
That
Mighty
was-
Mighty Boss.
Yeah.
The Mighty Boss.
Yeah, the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I-
litigious.
I think the way it
Joe
worked
Gittleman.
was because they used so much of the Stones song. They basically, the Stones were just like, we get all of the royalties from this song, and they were like, all right. And
And it's like their
now they're
biggest
broke
song,
as
yeah.
fuck,
It's good
Like
that
the
that's
only
one of
song,
Mick Jagger, though. He would have been broke otherwise, right?
right? Totally.
I
Right.
Sorry.
That's okay. Number 8, Mighty Joe Young. Something about the 90s and grunge that caused a lot of bands to change their name. This arena-ready band faced reprisal from a touring blues musician and decided to name themselves after motor oil. That's a big clue.
Stone Temple Pilots.
Correct.
Oh, yeah.
STP.
STP.
Secret Tweaker Pad, if you listen.
Yeah, you beat me to it.
All right, number 9, Polar Bear. Mid-2000s indie rock band had a string of hits, but as you can guess, needed to change its name so as not to be confused with another band with the same name. So they stuck with an Arctic theme.
Ooh,
Or-
Arctic
Joey.
Monkeys.
Oh,
I would-
so close.
That would have been.
You're
my guess
in the right-
anyways.
You're in the right zone, but not the Arctic Monkeys.
Oh.
How, you will find out when the answer is revealed.
Oh, it must be the hot heat.
Hot heat, very Arctic.
Yeah, that's to stay warm.
Right.
Global warming.
Yeah, I don't know if you
Can't
heard.
think of See, walruses.
The answer is
the walruses.
Snow Patrol.
Oh,
Snow
Ah,
Patrol.
I hate that band.
Yeah, it's no good.
Pretty
It could be
awful.
Coldplay.
Oh,
Could be Coldplay.
Yeah.
Could be Arctic
That's what
Monkeys.
they
There's
said.
a lot of
That's what
Arctic
You know
Monkeys.
what? I never equated Coldplay's band name with like making a snowman, but now I do. Thank you.
That's it. Put on your
That's what they're
business
talking about.
Coldplay.
Yeah, they're
When
talking.
they're saying it's all yellow, they
Better
mean
than,
yellow
like-
snow, y'all.
hey, are
Yeah,
you into
that I
some
did equate with it.
The two songs about yellow snow are the Zappa song and the Coldplay song, right?
Yeah. All right, number 10. On a Friday, every hipster's favorite band actually changed their name because they thought people would be confused when their shows were playing.
Oh, Thursday.
No, that seems like that would do the equal problem.
I just want to win. I got the eye on the prize. Nobody believes in me.
Sorry, what was the clue again?
Every hipster's favorite band.
Every hipster's favorite band. They were
They
called-
named themselves after a Talking Heads song.
Oh my goodness.
Radiohead.
Yep,
Oh boy.
oh,
Radiohead.
It's the one
Oh,
Scott
boy.
Radiohead song. Nobody? Or the one Scott Talking Heads song.
Yeah.
Radiohead,
Oh, yeah.
indeed.
Yeah.
I like Talking Heads. They're good. They're fun to listen to.
I don't like when other parts talk.
Yeah, that's fair.
You
Very
don't
fair.
Ace Ventura then.
All right. This is the okay. Ilan's got this one, but we're gonna do a bonus question just for fun. Zero with an X. This new metal band changed its name multiple times in a hunt for mainstream acceptance and decided on naming themselves after an area of Santa Monica, but they had to change the spelling so they can get the website.
An area of Santa Monica. It was a new metal band.
Yes.
Oh, Joey.
Yes.
Lincoln Park.
Correct.
Ah, nice.
To get the website. But with 5 points. Ilan's got this one.
Yes.
Sorry, Joey.
Yeah, that's
You put in a good fight.
Yeah.
Josh, you showed up.
I was here.
Yeah.
This is
We
just
were
like-
so excited about that Verve pipe.
Oh,
so
yeah.
excited.
No,
And I just pulled
I
the
didn't-
rug right under you.
He loves it.
Like a lot of times I'll come to band practice with like a guitar progression or a riff, and I'll start playing it, and Ilan will just be like, "Oh, you're playing this song." And I'm like, "Oh, okay."
I guess I am.
I'm like, "Is it that song?" Yeah, it goes like that, and then it goes, "Yeah," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, I'll change it."
And that was another game. And so let's wind down by answering some questions. It's Question the Answers. All right.
Hey, my favorite
Hey, it's
song.
a Bustones reference.
Rip.
Robert Bowl asks, what is the snack that's made you the saddest when you tried it?
Ooh, you want to go, Josh?
Oh man, no, you go. I feel like you have more sad snacks than I do.
Ooh,
I have
You-
snacks that I eat when I'm sad.
Good enough. Let's do it.
yeah, do it. You want to talk? Let's talk depression food. Let's stay there and not talk
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
our sad. You want to do it? Depression food. Take it, Josh.
All right, because like I'm usually not sad if I'm eating something, and I have some dietary restrictions. So like if I'm eating something, I'm doing it deliberately.
Fair.
So, all right. Actually, I will answer the question real quick. I was touring with my dinosaur-themed folk punk band, the Late Cretaceous, in college, and I went to Taco Bell for the first time since I was like 8 or whatever. And I got a cheesy Crunchwrap Supreme, and I was like, I get it. This is good. This is really good. And later that night, I came down with a sinus infection, and now I can't eat. I can't eat any Taco Bell anyway because of dietary restrictions, but like I really can't eat it because of how sad it made my body.
This has been a roller coaster ride for Cool Chris. He was just listening to this story and he was like, yes. And then no.
Yeah, his desperation for a Taco Bell sponsorship is just
Yeah.
dwindling in front of his
It
eyes.
won't come from sad snack.
Baja Blast is so gnarly. I'm just gonna say it. I really want to like all that stuff, but it's just like so. We're by the one that sells booze, the one in Santa Cruz, not Santa Cruz, in Pacifica. I don't know if you've ever seen this ad. I think the weirdest sad ad I've ever seen on TV. like that's not true, but one of the top 5 is the one where it's like these 2 kids at this beach party in Pacifica, and they're at the fucking beach. It's a Taco Bell ad, and they look at each other, and you know that there's romance in the air, and they're running through the waves. Then just dong dong, the bell rings, and she's off at Pacifica getting some fucking food, and it's like, is that where we're at? Where you're just having the biggest moment of your life, and then you look up and you're like, oh, it's fast food over there. Let's fucking do this. I want some pink fucking slime. Put it in. Can you put it in like a piece of corn? Thank you. Taco Bell's pretty rad, though. You know what scares me is the anonymous Jack in the Box tacos, where you can get like 2 tacos for $1, but they won't tell you what kind of meat it is. That's disturbing.
Yeah.
I love it. Jack in the Box is great. They stay open and they serve multi-ethnic food late at night, and nobody's suspicious, and that's cool.
I will say
places that just have like that do everything, and then they also just have a taco. That taco is definitely suspicious.
It's really suspicious,
yeah.
especially like the cheaper the taco is. Or I grew up in Jersey, White Castle. That's suspicious. You shouldn't be able to get a 50-cent hamburger. You shouldn't. There should like I'm all about cheap food, but like you just got to factor in like if it's 50 cents, something's wrong. You know what I mean? Like it's not a time warp. You haven't like
where are they saving that money?
Yeah, they got a cow from the past with no hormones. They brought it through the time warp. They can still charge 50 cents. No, man, like they do cut holes in those little burgers so they can grill them faster, which is kind of impressive. Have you ever seen those? Where like
we do not have White Castle up
we
here.
don't have
so the way they grill them up faster is they got these 50-cent burgers and they steam cook them, and the burgers themselves have these like holes in them like Swiss cheese. Then they just like throw a bunch of sauteed onions on. We went to my old band Millennial Falcon was on tour through Vegas recently, or in 2018-19, recently with quotes before the pandemic, pre-pandemic, and there's a White Castle in Old Vegas. And I think that's the most depressing meal I've gotten in a while, because it's like you're looking at 50-cent hamburgers, but you're looking at an open kitchen. An open kitchen for 50-cent hamburgers is depressing. You know, an open kitchen anywhere is depressing because nobody wants to look up. You don't want to make eye contact.
Yeah.
With work. You can feel people's eyes on you being like, I ordered this and this is how it's made. You know, it's an experience. It's not just cooking anymore. You don't just get to do your job. You are like a mouseketeer or whatever, animatronic.
It's not like you're respected like Teppanyaki or something. You're just like steaming tiny burgers in view of people. That sucks.
Well, you know, it was weird. One guy did make an onion volcano, and it was really impressive. And then he had to get hauled away with some grease burns, and turns out it wasn't on purpose, and things were going horribly wrong. And I was fucking around, but you know, it's really depressing watching like a big open White Castle kitchen. You shouldn't have open kitchens for minimum wage. That is awful.
I hope that answers your question, Rob.
Yeah,
it very much answered my question. Well, Robert Bull's question. With that, I think this is the perfect time to say thank you so much, Josh and Ilan, for joining us on Checkered Past. I'm going to throw it to you to plug. What have you got to plug?
All right. Well, we just put out 2 singles with Ska-Punk International and Lava Socks Records. The first came out at the beginning of November, and then the second one just came out. That's Sunshine and Lollipops 2020 and Kenny G Hotline. Stream them, buy them on our Bandcamp. Look at the video for Kenny G Hotline on the YouTube. And then we also just we threw up some stickers on our Bandcamp that I designed, and we've got a lot more merch in the works. We have been a band for since April, playing out since April. So it took us a moment to get the ball rolling on all this stuff, but we've got cool things in the works.
We just want to say that with these releases, they're coming out on cassette. We got exclusive variants for Lava Socks Records, which is Alex from Sarcasm, Startle, and a bunch of other cool bands. We're also going to be on a really cool big ska comp with some East Bay themed stuff. Can I talk about this?
I think so.
There's a big Operation Ivy compilation coming out with some big bands. We're on that. We recorded some weird ass shit for that. We recorded a track that is unreleased. It's released on one of the smaller
the
Left
C-side
Behind on like the seaside. We picked up an obscure track and tried to come up with a reimagining of it. So that's coming out.
Something that would have been on like Lint King of Ska or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like we couldn't find the lyrics and we were struggling.
Alex reached out.
And we contacted Alex, who runs 924 Gilman, and would be like the person to contact about this. And he was just like, I don't know.
They don't know the lyrics. Like Jesse Michaels and Tim Armstrong don't know the lyrics to this song that they wrote in 1989.
They don't exist anywhere online. So we just kind of winged it. We had some fun. Like honestly, to be able to re-record a lost, not like lost, but like a C-side by a band that you love, like, I mean, we've all played Energy to death. We've all played all these CPs to death. So to get to do something like that is a real pleasure. And also what I was getting at is Lava Socks has one variant of the album cover by Raul
Higuera.
and the other variant is by Ska-Punk. One is nighttime, one is daytime. They feature the band hitchhiking on a street corner with all of our instruments, and you get some cool shit.
Yeah. Raul did a killer job with the art. I am so stoked on it. Yes.
Awesome.
So I think that's pretty much what we've got now. There's as we mentioned, there's some cool announcements coming for 2023.
Ooh, on the 27th of January?
27th of January.
We're doing our release show with the Hellas and Startle, which is the new band from everybody in Sarcasm, or most of the folks in Sarcasm, and Eichlers, and I think that might be the
I think
lineup.
that's it.
Yeah.
And, it's put on by Big Leap Collective.
Yeah, they're fucking killing around here. They booked the Scott Timber show with Angela Moore that we just played recently with Eichlers. They're great. Check out Grublin or Big Leap Collective. They do a lot of all ages community outreach stuff for music and for all sorts of cool shit within the Bay Area.
And we are going into the studio in about a week and a half to start recording our full length. So who knows when that's going to happen.
We're over at District Studios in San Jose, which is Ryan
Paris.
Ryan Paris from the Atom Age.
Yep,
and
Atom
co-owned by Mike Park from Asian Man. And the cool thing about recording there is that as the drummer, I'm playing on the drum set from all the Bruce Lee band albums that I really like, and also that one Kill Lincoln album that just came out recently that they did together. It's just like it's been very fun getting to be like, oh, I like this album. I'm playing on this drum set. What?
Ska dreams coming true.
No. It's
Hey, that's a Jeff Rosenstock reference.
Oh,
Good
is that
job.
a reference?
Yeah.
What? Sorry, I'm just fucking around.
And yeah, like I don't know, like just to kind of put a pin in it, but like we've had a really great time. We started this band for ourselves, for like to write ska music and have a good time with our pals. And the fact that this music is connected so well, and that people like Russ and Brent Lawrence Friedman, and
Mike
Jer
Suzuki.
and Mike, Alex and Chris,
Fucking
and even you
with
guys,
Angelo, fucking
Aaron Carnes, like that. The fact that so many people have gone out of their way to be so supportive.
Aaron's the best. Aaron Carnes gave us the best advice we've gotten as a band so far. He was like, hey, don't make ska puns, make snack puns. That's your thing. And so now we do. We don't make any ska puns. If you heard one here, I'm sorry.
We're sorry too.
Yeah, we're sorry too.
So yeah, thanks for having us.
Sorry. It's me, Justin. Sorry.
Hit us up on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok at Checkered Past Pod, or send us an email at checkeredpastpod@gmail.com. To support the pod and get bonus content, including a full-length and unedited video of this episode, sign up for the Checkerhead Patreon at patreon.com/checkeredpast. We also have merch available at checkeredpast.ca. Checkered Past is edited by Arianne and engineered by Joey. And until next time, I'm Rob.
I'm Joey. Download or listen to my stupid songs about Common Sense Kid on YouTube.
And in the immortal words of Too Short Notice, no Skank Room.